Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bobby Waldron and welcome to another inbox review. The inbox review we have just here is the Tornado GR.1 Gulf War. That's in whopping 1/32 scale and it is by Revell. So as you can see, nice looking box art, but don't be deceived by the box art. This is an old kit in here. This one was reboxed in 2018, I do believe, but the plastic inside is 1985, right? So a bit of an old kit, but it is 1/32 scale, so it's a big model. You get a lot of plastic for your money, and it costs around about, I mean, this is coming from E-models, about £45, so not a bad price, but you're going to have to deal with the fact that it's from 1985. So let's take a quick look inside here. Also, I'm doing a little bit of a different format this time. I want to sort of try out doing things a little bit differently with my inbox reviews. Sorry, it is a big box. So jumping straight in, you'll see as I go along. Here we have our first sprue. Nice bit of fuselage section and everything. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to jump straight into our actual, if we can get this on camera because it is massive, jumping straight into the surface detail. What I've done is I've already put a wash on this, and then I've let it dry, rub the wash off, and we can actually get a closer, better look at what the kind of level of detail, surface detail, there is on this. And now what we can see is, yes, we do have recess panel lines, we've got loads of recess rivets to go along with it. But what you'll notice is that wash hasn't taken all that well, right? As you can see, when I've sort of rubbed it off, it has sort of rubbed it out of the recessed panel lines just a little bit, which basically what this means is the recessed panel lines just aren't quite deep enough, right? They, as you can see, they are taking the wash a bit, but there's in places it's just a little bit too shallow. So you know, sadly it's going to need a slight bit of a rescribe all round, which technically isn't that bad, but it, you know, it depends on you personally. I mean, do you mind doing a little bit of a rescribe? Because when the recessed panel lines are already there, it's not that hard to sort of rescribe panel lines that are already there. I don't find it that too tedious. But what you've also got is I've also sort of done at the vertical as well. And as you can see, it gets even worse because, you know, sadly these old ejection molds from 1985, this one, as it sort of wraps around and goes down the vertical, these recessed panel lines, recessed rivets literally just disappear. As you can see, these recessed panel lines are supposed to be all the way down, and they've literally disappeared. This is basically all blank on there, so that's going to be, you know, maybe go off, do a bit of research, see what panel lines are actually down here and scribe them in. Again, you know, it depends on you personally whether that's a big deal or not, but that's the surface detailing. It pretty much goes for the rest of the kit, so I'm not going to show every bit of surface detail on here. I'm just going to show you the interesting bits. We then come to a couple of sprues just here, all sorts of bits and bobs just on here, but just to note, here is our instrument display panel, which, to give them credit, it does look pretty damn nice. With the naked eye you can see all the different dials inside there and everything, and all the buttons, all looks pretty damn cool. And here's the second one just here. As you can see, lovely detail going on in there. Ejector pin marks, they are sort of in some places, but sadly this one's a bit of a first for me actually. We do have ejector pin marks, you know, on the inside of these bits of landing gear, which isn't bad because actually they're in a place that you don't mind. As you can see, little ejector pin marks just inside here, but they must have, I don't know, pressed them out when they was a bit soft or something, because if we turn it over, right, it's, I don't know if you're going to pick it up on camera, but just here you can just make out hopefully you can make out, but trust me, I can just see a slight imprint where the ejector pin, the mold ejectors, right, have like left the mark on the inside but pushed it out to go onto the detail on the opposite side, which is rather strange. And I am noticing that pretty much in a lot of places, all on these bits of landing gear, even on the wheels as well. They do have ejector pin marks on the inside, but I'm seeing that they're pressed on the opposite side as well, just there. You might just be able to see that, hopefully. There is a lot of that, so you're going to be taking care of ejector pin marks with this kit. But moving along, we have some nice more cockpit detail just here. Hopefully, as you can see, we've got all sorts of lovely dials and everything on there. It is packed with detail, admittedly. We have wheel wells as well, as you can see. Loads of detail inside there, nice loads of detail, looking rather good. There was some other sort of notes I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, the exhausts, they look quite cool inside. Hopefully you can just see just inside there we got loads of lovely detail in there, which is quite impressive actually. So hopefully you can sort of see past some of the faults with this kit. Moving along, we have, again, I'm not going to get all the parts out to show you details, but just to show you, we've got all sorts of weapons in here, freefall bombs, sidewinders. We've got the 2 types of fuel tanks in here also, as well as a few other sort of different types of bombs and sensors and stuff. And I'll just get out the other set of sort of, again, these are the big fuel tanks. I forget what that was called again. Was it Hindenburg or something? We've got some GBUs also, some even bigger bombs here. You know, ram-packed full of weapons to really sort of beef this one up. We have, of course, we've got like wing sections and stuff in here. Again, I've already shown you what the details like with the surface detail. And then we have these big canopies just here. So if we get you zoomed in on these, as you can see, they are looking pretty shiny, pretty clear and stuff. I have noticed a little scratch, which I think I'm gonna have to bring you in as close as possible. It's right there, a little scratch. I don't know if you could see that, just there, little scratch. I'm guessing that is basically down to this rubbing in the box. It was only came in this bit of packaging, so maybe a bit of scratch in there from that kind of thing. Other than that, they do look rather cool. So, you know, hopefully you won't get a scratch like I did, but if you do, you might have to polish it out. So then we come to the instructions. What we're going to look at first actually is the decals themselves. So here's our decals. Let's just show you a nice bit of a closer look at these. As you can see, looking pretty damn good. Lots of nice colours, does look in registry, no sort of looking problems. It does say it's printed in Italy, which I do believe is possibly by Revell. Whether they've gone off and used Cartograph, I don't know, but they're generally normally good from Revell. And as you can see, some really sort of nice artwork as well to go on your tornadoes just there. We do have as well all the instrument display panel stuff going on here, which it's kind of cool because you could sort of, you know, cut these out and put the dials onto, because as you just saw from the actual plastic, the detail on the instrument display panels looks good, but to actually cut out these dials and stuff and have that detail in there as well would look cool. Sort of combining it with, you know, cutting these dials out as well as painting it should look pretty damn good. So the decals are looking good. Then we have our instructions. Let's bring you in a little bit closer. Nice bit of a colour start just here on the cover, actually showing you one that's built, and actually built to a good standard. Kind of strange, but they always seem to build very sort of a low standard kind of picture whenever they do these kind of things, which I've always kind of found a bit strange, but this one really does look like they've gone to town with it. So that's cool that they've, you know, shown you a finished one, still nicely all in color, and showing you all sorts of like the paints to use and everything, and all the sprues, and then it does look kind of ram-packed full of information, but we've got loads of information to build this up. As you can see, how to paint all our ejector seats and all the cockpit and everything, looking quite cool. As you can see, you start with the cockpit and bring the two halves of the fuselage nose section together, and does look like we're going to be able to build inside the nose, the detail inside the nose, and potentially have that open or closed. Yes, we can have it open or closed. Moving along, does look like we're going to have this system where the pylons can move as well as the wings as well, which is just what you expect from a Tornado, really. And yes, that is normally kind of sort of complicated to put all together, but hopefully there won't be too many fit issues. But being a kit from 1985, yeah, we're probably talking a few fit issues that you want to be taking care of with that. And then you're basically bringing all these bits together, probably going to assume that this air intake just here going to be a fit issue there, only because you pretty much find that with any sort of aircraft or kit that has that kind of build, normally needs a bit of work on there. Obviously landing gear up or down, moving along, yes, obviously canopy up or down. Does look like we're going to have a fuel probe as well, and that's going to be up or down also, which is quite cool, as well as all the different weapons, which actually I can probably name now. We've got a 1,500 litre tank, we've got a BOS 105, we've got AIM 7L sidewinders, Sky Shadow pod. What else we got here? We've got the 2,250 litre tank, which again I think was called a Heinenberg or something. Then we've got the 1,000 pound LGB, the 1,000 pound bombs. So yeah, nice array of weapons. And then it shows you a couple of weapons configurations, and then we've got our actual paint schemes as well, just on here, showing you pretty much where all the decals go and everything. Pretty sort of easy. Actually, because it's just like a wrap around, all the same color, it's going to be a nice easy spray job also. And it does look like we've got a nice 2 sets of markings there, as well as all the colors and markings for all our weapons. So all in all, it's a big kit, right? It's an old kit, admittedly, but I don't believe there is really a contender out there for a Tornado 1 in 32nd scale. So if you want to build one, I think, don't hold me to this, I think this is your only choice. It still looks good. You know what? The surface detail is there. If you're a bit more of an intermediate advanced builder and you don't mind putting in a bit more effort to sort of do that light bit of rescribing to make sure it takes a wash, because as we just shown, it doesn't quite take it, to do all those areas where the detail does sort of disappear as well. If you're up for that, good. It's 1985 new tooled in 1985, so if you don't mind doing a bit of fill sanding scribing in there, because there's going to be a little issue here and there that you're going to have to fill and sand. If you don't mind all that, do you know what, I think this is going to be a cracking kit. I have seen these built and they are huge, you know. I mean, 1/48 scale, they're pretty big, but this thing's going to be even bigger. It is quite a nice centerpiece, and let's face it, for about £45, do you know what, I don't think you can grumble too much. I know you got to put the effort in, but it is really cheap actually for what you get. So yeah, it's a big thumbs up, but you know, you got to be sort of willing to put that effort in. You got to be a bit more intermediate and advanced. So yeah, it's thumbs up if you're in that sort of category. If you're sort of new to the hobby, maybe this might be a bit more of a challenge for you, but apart from that, I think it should turn out to be a cracking kit. So hopefully you've enjoyed this inbox review here at Genesis Model of Revell's Tornado GR.1. So until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I'll catch you later.